dog days of summer. Students are packing up and going back to school. The MLB playoff race is heating up and the NFL season is just around the corner. And of course, the craziest NBA offseason of all time has officially grinded to a halt. And what a drama-filled offseason it's been. Farewells were bid, hopes were dashed, jerseys were burned, and my God, the money was made into rain like the long-forgotten Fat Joe and Lil Wayne song. So with that being said, here are the 5 teams that made out pretty well for themselves this offseason. Number 5 on my list, the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Wolves are undoubtedly the team of the future. They have 2 of the league's young rising stars, in Andrew Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns, and a whole lot of young talent to surround them with. This offseason, they took a huge step towards future contention by adding Tom Thibodeau as their head coach. Tibbs is the perfect fit for the Minnesota system. He's a proven winner who can take these young, talented guys and mold them into winners. In addition, Tibbs is one of the league's brightest defensive minds. And you combine that with a team with so much length and so much athleticism, that's a recipe for success. You add that defense to a core that has so much offensive potential, and you have a team that could win titles in the future. Plural. Titles. Number 4 on the list, the San Antonio Spurs. Even though they lost their heart and soul franchise player Tim Duncan to retirement, the Spurs did not miss a beat, adding another veteran big man in his place in Pau Gasol. I think that Pau Gasol is an absolute perfect fit for the Spurs lineup. Just imagining him in that lineup with that superior ball movement and that inside-outside action is a basketball purist's dream. Not to mention the fact that the Spurs have a great history of maximizing their veteran players and keeping them effective come playoff time. Spurs also did what the Spurs do best, and that's picking up undervalued talent on the cheap. They picked up former Magic center Dwayne Dedmon on a dirt cheap contract. Brings that defensive presence, that rim protection that's kind of missing between LaMarcus Aldridge and Paul Gasol. Also, don't sleep on the signing of David Lee. Remember what Greg Popovich did with Boris Diaw, who was cut by the Charlotte Bobcats at the time, and his career looked dead in the water, and Greg Popovich turned him into an instrumental portion of their championship-winning team in 2014. Number 3 on my list is going to be a bit of a shocker, but I'm going with the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Oklahoma City Thunder, a team that lost one of the most transcendent superstars in the game in Kevin Durant. Bear with me for a second. See, they pulled off one of the heists of the offseason, trading an expiring and sort of declining Serge Ibaka to the Orlando Magic in exchange for Victor Oladipo, Domantas Sabonis, and a pretty good role player in Ersan Ilyasova. At that point, they were well set up to put a championship-winning team around Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, plus all those great young pieces. I don't think you can put the loss of Durant at the doorstep of the Oklahoma City management. I think they did everything they possibly could to keep KD in town, but I think that relationship with Russell Westbrook sort of soured, and I think he was dead set on winning a ring by any means necessary, including joining the NWO. When Durant made his choice, that was it. Everyone was convinced. Russell Westbrook is gone. Pre-order the purple and gold jersey, because that's where he's going next season. Except, it didn't happen like that. And OKC's management somehow got Russell Westbrook to put ink to paper and stick around as the undisputed franchise guy. So if you look at the roster currently constructed, they have Westbrook along with a lot of young talent. Steven Adams, Victor Oladipo, Enes Kanter, Domantas Sabonis, Cameron Payne, and oh yeah, a lot of cap space to go with that. And let's remember, like we saw this season, superstars attract more superstars. And hitting the market next offseason is a local guy named Blake Griffin. So you factor in Westbrook, maybe a Blake Griffin, all of that young talent, maybe a trade for a third star, and suddenly OKC is totally fine. Number 2 on my list is the Indiana Pacers. The Pacers had one of the feel-good stories of last season with the return of Paul George. He came back better than ever after his horrific leg injury in the summer of 2014. As George soared to new heights, the supporting cast was at best, as none of them could buy a bucket. I mean, his second best scoring option was an inconsistent Monta Ellis. I love the pickup of Jeff Teague and how he complements Paul George. I think he's going to find him on great looks and as well be a secondary scoring option as Teague can shoot the lights out at any given second, so a lot of teams, they're going to reconsider double and triple teaming Paul George. Also, Teague's a hometown guy, and apparently he moved back home to his parents' house, so the Pacers might be able to use that whole hometown thing to really get him on a hometown discount this coming off-season when they try to lock him up long-term. Thad Young was a great depth pickup. They only got him for a 20th overall pick, and his contract is basically peanuts in the new NBA. I think he's going to be one of the league's best sixth men this season. Also, Al Jefferson was a great pickup. I know the Al Jeffersons of the world are kind of antiquated with the whole small ball revolution, but he works pretty well for this team. Namely, he works well with blue chip prospect Miles Turner, as Turner has that outside stroke and that rim protection that complements Al Jefferson's low post banging game perfectly. Look out for the Pacers. I think they could be one of the premier teams in the Eastern Conference. Number one on my list is the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets brought back Linsanity in his final form as the reincarnation of Allen Iverson to take back Gotham City. And, okay, come on, it's the Golden State Warriors. The Warriors were a 73-win team already, and then they added Kevin Durant? The team is going to be a firing. It doesn't matter who they put at the 5 spot. I mean, they could put anybody, literally anybody at that 5 spot. They could take Charles Barkley out of retirement, as he is right now, throw him in there, and they won't miss a beat. The only team that can stop Golden State is Golden State. Now, there's only a few ways I can see this lineup ever failing, one of which being injury histories. I mean, Steph Curry had really bad ankles early in his career, and those ankle injuries have a chance to become nagging injuries over time. I mean, he's played the most basketball in the last 2 years than he ever has in his life, so you hope he doesn't get injured, but it's something that could come up later in time. And ditto for Kevin Durant, who's had injuries to his feet, and as we've seen before, feet injuries can be nagging ones as well. Another pitfall Golden State might face is maybe there's too much star power there. I mean, this team thrived on ball movement, getting everybody a touch, no egos, and now you add a guy who's been an ISO player his entire career, a guy who's been the franchise guy. So in that locker room, there might be too much ego, too much endorsement deals, too much personal brands. We've seen these kinds of teams fall apart before. Time will tell if it will happen to the Warriors. And finally, one thing keeping them from becoming a long-term championship contender is the money. It's all about the money, as the great Vince McMahon once said. And next season, they got to sign both KD, who's got an option, he's opting out, and Steph Curry, who are both going to command over $30 million each. And not to mention the fact that Klay Thompson's coming up, Draymond Green around the corner. They got to make a lot of tough choices as to who to keep and who to let go and what they're going to do with that roster going forward. But as of right now, they're terrifying. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, top 5 best off seasons. Let me know in the comments what you think. Am I right? Am I wrong? Am I totally off? Is my shirt too weird? And also, look out for the top 5 worst off seasons of the NBA. And that one's going to be fun because there are a lot of bad teams this off season.